I was a bit surprised when I saw this presentation this morning about the density of population. I said, you must look on our map. Because we have municipalities that has less than 10 people per square kilometers. In this tiny country we have 290 municipalities, and municipality has a different role than in the rest of Europe. I will more compare them to be regions with local councils. We also have a paradigm shift. This country was built upon iron and wood, and that is not important for the society anymore. That's not the power of a country. So we try to see how could we compete with the rest of Europe. We are on a common market. Those 9 million inhabitants has to compete with those 500 millions in the rest of Europe. So we need a really good communication network to do that. And we have measured every municipality. We have looked into every one of these. We compare those with fibre, with those with no fibre, and we could see the difference. What happened after you deployed fibre? We very often, too often in my opinion, hear that it costs so much to deploy fibre. And I will object and say, no, it's not. If we take the cost that our country spend every year on the maintenance of roads for 1 year, we could build fibre to every citizen in the country that we could depreciate for 30 years. So don't argue about money, because that is not true. The city council in my small municipality, I have never heard any politician ask for a business case before we build a new street. I've never heard it. But when it comes to infrastructure for IT, everyone's asking for the business case. So if we look on the target, what we should achieve, the problem is that the incumbent will not do the necessary investments. But I think we must rely on the public sector. If we don't do it, we will not see an infrastructure for the information society. We've been measured all the networks in Sweden. Look on the prices, on the same services, exactly the same service. And we could see a huge difference if you have one provider or if you have more than 10. If you see on the top, the retail service provider, they are the only one that has contact with users, the end users. If it's enterprises or customers, that's the only contact. They build the streets, they manage the streets, and they let the market do the transport on the street. And you can have the lorries and you can have the taxi cars. So that's a natural monopoly. They already normally owns the right of ways. They give all the permits to do this. So they are available. And I consider this to be a public-private partnership. Public when it comes to passive infrastructure, and private when it comes to services and operations. One problem is when we are discussing broadband, we just look on the internet service or maybe TV service to the end user, the households. In my world, this urban or city network is an infrastructure for telecom. So any of these telecom users can use the same network. And we can easily have hundreds of operators, even in the same cable. Not the same fiber, but the same cable. And we have cable TV operators and other, I would say one of the largest users of fiber in Sweden are the national broadcasters. Not to broadcast, but to connect. And then we have the enterprises. And I think this is one of the most interesting part of the economy. If we compare the income from end users, I mean that operators provide to end users, and what enterprises pay, it's like 5 times bigger. In the city of Stockholm, where I live, we have 100 operators in the same network, but we have also 500 enterprises that use the same network. That's a lot of companies, large companies, security of fiber, and they are putting in a lot of money. And don't forget the public sector. We have estimated that 50% of all turnover in the broadband will be public sector. 50%.